I'll count down to one and then clap.
On one or after one?
On one.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
That didn't work. It's got to be after one.
Okay. After one. 3, 2, 1. All right.
Yeah.
We got a little delay. Yeah.
Well,
We might have a little delay. That's fine. Hey,
We'll
look,
figure it out.
it's
You
gonna
got
be everything's gonna be fine. Worst case, it's our worst episode ever. That's come on. It's a running tally.
every episode we endeavor for it to be the worst episode yet.
Yes, perfect. See, the key to life is setting achievable goals.
Exactly.
If you know where you stand, you know how you can reach the bottom. Ahoy, listeners! This is Debut Buddies. It's a fortnightly podcast about firsts. My name is Nate, and I'm one of the buddies.
I'm Kelly. I'm an additional buddy.
I'm Chelsea, and I'm another buddy. And we have another buddy. Said another twice.
Yeah,
Not other.
Another other.
We have another buddy.
We have another buddy. This particular buddy is a writer from Los Angeles, California. He wrote a book titled Dreams of an American Exile. That's the reason why I know him, because we were pressmates at a little defunct press that was called one thing, and then it was called another thing, and now it's gone. I think that book came out in 2017, 2016?
2015.
2015. See, okay, you came out just a little bit before mine. He also has fiction that has appeared in The Rush, The Ground Up, Tabula Rasa Review, and other publications. And all around great guy, a film historian in his own right. Here for the topic of the show, which I have not named yet, but I will name the person, and that person is Eric Weintraub. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay, welcome.
So, you're an honorary buddy. Here we are. We're in Buddy Town together at last.
Is that like Elizabethtown? Buddytown?
It is. It's a lot like Elizabethtown.
Sister cities?
There's an elaborate map book to find Buddy Town.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Lots of mixed CDs. It's great. What are we talking about this episode? Well, it's the kind of thing that the Baja men might have been concerned about, right? They want to know who let dogs out. They also similarly might want to know who set dogs up.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, indeed. There's no invisible rabbit, but there's a Harvey in this movie.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yep. 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 Keep going.
And I've entirely run out of things to say, other than at one point, when I was in high school, a classmate told me that I most resembled Tim Roth. And I think the comparison was to this film, possibly just in the diner scene, where a couple of angles I was like, is that me? We're talking about the first Quentin Tarantino movie, and that movie is titled Reservoir Dogs. Was there a reservoir in it? No. Were there dogs in it?
One.
Perhaps from a slang perspective.
No, there's literally a dog in it.
You're literally the dog.
Okay, rude.
In the movie. That was really rude. I don't know why I said that. That was awful. Where was the dog? What dog did I miss?
In the fabricated story about delivering the weed to the train station, there's a drug dog in the bathroom.
German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Son of a gun, you're right.
I know I am.
Yeah.
Usually.
You did
need to
know.
remember every detail.
You're always right. It's true. It's a great sequence. Great lie. So let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about Quentin Tarantino. Eric, since you prompted this topic, this is your baby, we'll say. Let's go ahead and wolf out on this. Tell us what you know and what you want to tell us about first Quentin Tarantino.
So what I'd love to do is start with a little bit of the backstory of Tarantino and how he comes to make this movie, because I think it's actually a great sort of Hollywood Cinderella story. Some of it's probably been a little exaggerated, embellished over time. But basically, prior to this movie, Tarantino was pretty much a nobody. He grew up in Manhattan Beach, California, high school dropout, and has said in multiple interviews that he was basically a loser in his 20s. You know, he was working at a video store in Manhattan Beach, didn't really have any prospects, but really wanted to become a filmmaker. And in his early 20s, he tried to this is during the 1990s, the big independent movie boom. He tried to make an independent film called My Best Friend's Birthday. which he shot for 3 years on the weekends with the minimum wage that he was making from his video store job. Uh, and because he's shooting on film, so it cost extra money to develop it.
Very
So
expensive.
yeah, so very expensive. When he finally develops it 3 years into shooting on the weekends, he realizes that the film is like terrible, unusable, like total amateur hour.
Oh, so
You can
like
actually,
the content, it's not like the film degraded over 3 years. It's like the movie was bad.
it's hard to tell. You can actually find clips of this movie on YouTube still. I think
Okay.
a couple
Yeah.
of the reels survived. But I'm not sure if he was looking at it as the storytelling's no good. I mean, it's a film. The film does not look good. It just has, cheap black and white, doesn't really have any sort of, definitely does not have any of the style or anything that we would come to know Tarantino for.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up deciding to scrap that project because he's not going to spend any more money or time on
Mhm.
it, and tries to write scripts that he can get funded. The next two scripts he wrote actually ended up turning into films that he did not direct. Those were True Romance, the Tony Scott film,
Mhm.
and Natural Born Killers, which was heavily altered to become an Oliver Stone film. Um, but he decides that he wants to make a movie that he can direct even on a very small budget. So he's able to get about $30,000 from the money he's got selling those first two scripts to make a little film called Reservoir Dogs. And he's planning to make it on his own. He doesn't want to try to get a studio. He doesn't want to raise a bunch of money for it because he's been burned too badly at this point. And his friend, who was also a producer on this film and ended up being a producer with him for a long time, Lawrence Bender, reads the script for Reservoir Dogs and says, Quentin, this is really good. We could probably get some real money for this. So Quentin doesn't want to do it. And I'd call him Quentin because fans of Tarantino affectionately call him Quentin. Normally I would not call
Oh
a
no, I mean
celebrity.
Quentin listens to the podcast, so it's totally cool. We're
Right?
on the level. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Normally I
like-
wouldn't call a celebrity. Oh, sorry.
No, please go.
Oh, normally I wouldn't call a celebrity by their first name, but I'm going to do that in this instance.
Perfect.
It's the least number of syllables. I think it's excusable when it's like Tarantino is much longer than Quentin. Let's just roll with it.
True.
Perfect. So Lawrence Bender says, I will get you, like, let me option your script for 3 months. He gives Tarantino $100, and it ends up Bender is able to get it to Harvey Keitel through like he's his wife's acting coach, or it's sort of a convoluted relationship, but gets it to Harvey Keitel, who plays Mr. White in this film. Harvey Keitel loves it, wants to make it, and basically becomes a sort of godfather for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to, with Keitel is buy-in, they're able to put this amazing cast together who, even though many of the people in this film, like we know who they are now, they were still sort of up-and-comers back in the early 1990s. And from there is able to get the movie into Sundance. It's a hit, but also very controversial even back in the 90s, and is able to set Quentin up for his next film, which is Pulp Fiction, which is the film that really blows the doors open for him and the career that we've watched him flourish in for really the past 30 years now. So that is just gets us to the point where Reservoir Dogs happens.
Right on. Yeah. I think what's really cool about the Keitel thing and Tarantino is Harvey Keitel is kind of in a career lull in the 80s, right? In the mid to late 80s. And this Keitel naissance occurs around the time that he picks up Reservoir Dogs, because he also was in the piano around that time too, which is another role where he gets a lot of notoriety. And it's cool because Keitel like pops into Tarantino movies left and right. Like he shows up and he sort of brings, I think he brings a Scorsese trail of legitimacy with him, right? Because he's Scorsese's guy for all of Scorsese's early movies and many of his sort of mid-career movies. And then he pops up here to give Quentin the opportunity to really like show that he's got an actor. Because without him, in fairness, like in 92, this movie, like Tim Roth isn't anybody yet.
Yeah.
Buscemi isn't anybody yet.
He isn't. He was already famous in the UK.
But you've got a lot of like Michael Madsen's not a big deal. Like you've got a lot of people who are they're character actors, but nobody's a lead here. And Keitel's arguably a character actor who is foisted into a lead role, and he crushes with this movie. I think he's so good in this movie.
It's funny that you list Keitel as a Scorsese actor, and I know that you're right. I know that that's correct, but I always think of him as a Quentin actor because that's where he's most recognizable. What got you interested in I'm not sure why this was the topic that you suggested. What makes you interested in Reservoir Dogs or Tarantino or both?
So Nate asked me if I wanted to be on this pod, and since him and I are both writers, I immediately thought we should do a writer. I was thinking about, should we do an author or a novelist, and that seemed a little difficult, because we'd all have to probably read the book. I don't know. There's not that many authors that everyone who's a listener is going to have the same familiarity with. So I was thinking, well, who's like a really good writer director? And then Tarantino was the first one that popped up. And also for me, I think when I was first getting into writing, when I was like 12 or 13, Quentin was the one that I discovered that really made me realize, like, oh, like you can write about anything. Like, I'm from Los Angeles. Quentin writes Los Angeles-based movies, or at least he did in the early part of his career, which was so mind-expanding. From maybe when you're a kid, you're usually grow up watching, Star Wars, Disney movies. So the fact that a movie could be this good, it just looks like it's shot down the street, really, for me, was a big foundational moment as a writer and storyteller.
Oh, that's awesome. That's such a personal connection. That's a much more heartfelt response than I was expecting. I was expecting like I was a teenage
the normal
boy
crass
when
bullshit
all
you get
of
from
his
me.
movie- Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's inarguable how seismic Tarantino was coming onto the scene, right? Like I remember, I mean, this movie came out, I was 11 years old, so I did not see this movie in the theater. I didn't see it until I think senior year of high school was the first time I ever saw Reservoir Dogs. So that would have been 99 or 2000.
In
my
the
parents,
1900s
I remember,
or the 1800s?
that would be the 1800s. Yeah. I knew H.G. Wells, so we had a time machine. So I came
cool,
forward to
cool.
see the movie, and then I went back to my family, and then they all died of cholera.
Oh, not tuberculosis though. Okay, that's good.
No, yeah. Look, I like to mix it up. But I remember my parents going out on a date to see Pulp Fiction, and how big of a deal that was for a couple of reasons. One, like my parents didn't go to movies very often. Like they weren't movie people. And in retrospect, like Pulp Fiction is not a type of movie that either of them like. Like my mom never gravitated toward ultra violence and crime and the kind of fast talking, like wit dealing, but also like heavy profane Tarantino kind of dialogue. Like none of that would have been for her. And honestly, that's not the kind of shit my dad likes. Like my dad's always been a person who like respects directors who can do violence in a Hitchcockian way, where it's like it's a little bit of camera movement and it's close shots of punches and things, so that you're not experiencing violence, you're absorbing implicit violence. Whereas Tarantino deals in objective, like super textual violence. Like here, it is violent and it's happening a lot and loud and constantly and messy. So it's just interesting that it was such a huge deal to see Quentin Tarantino's early stuff that they went out to see it. But yeah, when was the first time any of you saw this movie, saw Reservoir Dogs? Or is this the first time?
This is the first time.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I thought I had watched it before, but I had only watched scenes from it. I have a fun story. It's not that fun. But in high school, we had a friend who had a Tarantino-themed birthday party, and I went as a Golden Girl because he directed an episode of The Golden Girls.
That's so
excellent.
Smart. That was so smart.
Because I was like, I don't know. I can't be a character. So I full on went as Sophia.
Oh, good. I was going to ask, that was my follow-up question. Which Golden Girl?
I knew about that birthday party, but was not invited. So,
oh shit!
Yeah, I cannot remember anything from it, so it was probably not. I just remember it being in a basement.
That seems right.
Well, was it a basement?
It certainly had basement vibes, just based on the content.
Nobody knew. There were a couple people at the party who thought I was somebody else because my costume didn't look like me, and they were like, "You're this person?" Not like trying to figure out who my costume was, they thought the person in the costume was a different person.
That's
Oh.
freedom.
Like, wow,
You
okay.
should have fucked shit up. That was your like
I
green
know.
that was your green light to just be a mean
I
person.
should
It's like
have.
this is all on so and so.
Yeah, I had seen this in high school, but probably hadn't watched it in 15 years. And definitely got some vocal reactions out of me. I was like, I'm getting soft in my old age out of way.
Yeah, no, same. On the heels of because we just watched The Connection.
Yes.
Mhm.
On the heels of The Connection, I could not help but compare that to this. In
Oh.
the
There's
beauty
a lot
of
of similarities.
Yeah, the beauty of Tarantino keeping this thing on a budget is that this is very stagey.
Yep.
There's like 4 locations total. They're all very spare and easy. It's like, hey, what do we need? We need a diner that we can use for like 7 or 8 hours of filming, so everybody can do their lines here.
Mhm.
We need a warehouse that's empty. We need a parking lot, and we need a car. And that's
Yeah.
it. Like, there's really
Mhm.
not a whole lot else to this movie, which is astonishing because when as I remember from seeing it the first time, it felt so big and sprawling. And it's one of those things where it's like, a person like Chelsea, who when they walk in the room, you expect them to be like 7'6", but then you're like, oh, you're a normal sized person. Your personality
not
is
even
so
that.
She's not
big.
normal size. She's little
I am
size.
a little person.
So see? So she's got such a personality that even her littleness doesn't translate over Zoom, since I've never met you in person.
But what about you, Eric? When was the first
I
time
think-
you watched
like-
this?
I actually watched this when I was pretty young, which was pretty cool of my parents to let me do that. I think I was like 13. And
Dang.
yeah, I was pretty young. I had already seen Pulp Fiction and loved it and wanted to know what else this guy has made. And I got the full 2000s experience. I watched this, like rented this from a Blockbuster, watched it on a PlayStation 2.
Oh,
And I vaguely remember like I didn't love it as much as Pulp, which is, it's not fair to compare anything to that movie. But I
Yeah.
remember really liking it. Like, oh, this is really cool. And it's cool that was when I started to understand what an auteur is. Like, it's
Mhm.
cool that this is the same kind of movie, but it's not a sequel. It's not like Star Wars where there's just a bunch of where this is all part of the same world. Like, this is a different film, but still has this same signature voice.
Hmm. And that is notable that, like, watching this today, I was like, his voice is so present in his first
Yeah.
feature. Like, you can see all of the Quentin hallmarks. Like, maybe they aren't fully realized yet, but his fingerprints are all over it.
Yeah, and I think that especially because we're talking about debuts, I think that's very unique for him because if you go back and watch a lot of the first films, especially thinking about maybe 90s independent filmmakers, like Wes Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, people like that, their first films are usually way different from the stuff that we know them for now. And the
Yeah.
fact that his Quentin's first film is so just sets up this whole world that he created is quite rare to have someone that fully developed right out of the gate.
He knows his beats and he knows his character types. He likes having Vegas in various movies when he has the opportunity, which I think is a fun little fact. It's neat that it's like, oh, there's a Vega in this, and then there's
Yeah.
Vincent Vega in Pulp. Like the fact that the car scene where Tim Roth is bleeding out, and then you also have Marvin is who gets shot in Pulp Fiction. Is that right?
Oh,
In the back seat?
yeah.
You just
Mhm.
there are a lot of these things where stuff cycles, and it invites a kind of fandom that's unique because you can watch Reservoir Dogs and then watch Pulp Fiction and be like, oh, is Harvey Keitel's Mr. Wolf also kind of Mr. White, and that's why he knows how to clean the back seat of a car that's covered with blood because he's done this before? Are we doing a Cloud Atlas style infinite recursion of
Wow.
personalities over time thing? And I kind of think that is what Tarantino does to an extent. I mean, I think he's, to your point, Eric, like being an auteur, he is kind of like taking his ideas and they're getting distilled further and further down in every film
Mm.
because you can draw lines from Reservoir Dogs to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood pretty easily and go like, oh, yeah, he absolutely is. Like, we're still having similar conversations. We're just having them from different angles and different approaches and different levels of maturity.
Speaking of different angles, that's something about this movie that I don't think that I fully appreciated. when I was a youth, those many years ago, which is that I always think of this as a heist movie, and I guess it is, but there's no it all happens off screen. Which is
Mhm.
another thing that's very play like. Like the inciting incident occurs somewhere else and now we're just dealing with the ramifications. And so I think that we get a scene early in the movie that like illustrates why that is an interesting decision. It illustrates it so well, which is when it's Mr. White and Mr. Pink and Mr. Orange back at the warehouse, and Mr. White and Mr. Pink are like going over the events
What
of the
went wrong?
heist, and
Yeah.
they remember it differently. Like, yes, that is interesting. That is an interesting way to and so human, right? Like that's very relatable. This crazy traumatic event just happened and we can't remember. We can't agree on how it went down.
I'm sure too this was done for budgetary purposes because I think the script was written with a $30,000 budget in mind.
Oh,
So
jeez. Yeah.
immediately, the first thing that's got to go is the big bank heist, and then I'm not sure if he ever thought of putting it in once the. I've never read anything that said interviews with him that said he thought of putting it in once he got the bigger budget. But it almost feels like you keep waiting for it to happen, and then all of a sudden you realize you're not going to see it, but you
Mm-mm.
don't need to see it either. It's very it 9 times out of 10 that might not have worked, but it works very well in this movie.
Yeah.
It really, I think what it does well is it forefronts the emotional conflict between these men and takes away the action movie part that would have detracted from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we saw them go into the Diamond Place and hold everybody up, and you see Michael Madsen just start mowing people down because somebody touches an alarm, the whole debate over whether he did it or didn't, or whether he's a bad guy or not, doesn't have to happen for the audience anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It ends up
Mhm.
being something where it's like, well, no, he's clearly the bad guy. Like somebody should just take him out, right? And it almost feels like if that scene were to play out, it would be unsatisfying for nobody to react to him in that moment. But because it's after the fact, you can understand, like, yeah, everybody went their different directions. And the most detail you get is like Quentin brings himself back so that you can see, like, yeah, he got shot as the getaway driver and he dies in the car. And you get to see them move because you find out how Mr. Orange got shot, but you don't find out really, you don't have to see any of that stuff because that really isn't the important thing, right? Because this movie isn't about criminals even necessarily. I mean, they are all criminals, but this is about like men working together and trusting each other and what male trust means in a hyper-masculine situation.
Yeah, I was like, what is the tagline of this movie? I should look it up real quick
Oh.
because if I had to guess, it would be toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's so, the thing that I think hit me more this viewing than the first time or two that I saw it was like watching Tim Roth go into character. And what we get is like 15 whole minutes of just, this is an actor's process. He's kind of just showing you, well, this is how I would prepare for a role.
Mm-hmm.
He's going undercover, and that's fine. Like it has a plot use to it, but it's really a very kind of soft, intimate, like you can see that he's he is a gentleman,
Yeah.
right? You get the impression that he is not hardened at all. And you
Well,
would
and
kind of
just a
think from the
big
beginning he
nerd,
is.
right?
Yeah,
He's just a
yeah.
big dork. He's got that Iron Man poster in his apartment. He's talking about the Fantastic Four. Like,
Yeah.
we are him. He is us.
Yeah, yeah. He's a goofball who's got a job and he's trying to do something cool. And he pays the ultimate price for that. But I also but the other thing that's cool is this movie is about like homosocial love and honesty and how important those things are. And like and how destructive those things can be, right? Because I think Tarantino deals with people's relationships, but especially men's relationships in a sort of conversation of, well, how do men enable each other to do harm, and how do men enable each other to try to recover from said harm while also bringing them down? Like that's always kind of the thing. Like Django is that way. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is that way. Pulp is that way. Kill Bill is kind of the only film that doesn't really deal with men's relationships directly because it isn't about men as much.
Huh. Yeah, I'd never really thought about how not a lot of women focused stories out of the old Tarantino. I'm sorry, Quentin.
I think we can say both. We can use whatever we want.
Well, he does have Jackie Brown and Death Proof also. Those are both
Oh, I haven't
women-centered
seen-
films.
Which
Yeah,
one is
yeah.
Death Proof? I haven't seen that one.
It was the one for Grindhouse.
Mhm.
It was like
Well,
the-
but a lot of stuff was for Grindhouse.
Go ahead and put a
Yeah,
pin
there
in,
were only 2 movies in Grindhouse, and then they had
Go
a lot
ahead
of
and
trailers.
put a pin in Grindhouse if you want to remember that for later. Just if you want to see what I
Okay.
did somewhere.
Okay.
Planet Terror and Death Proof were the
yeah,
2 movies in it.
that's right.
And
But there were like a bunch of
That's right.
shorts? What am I remembering?
there were a lot of trailers.
Yeah,
Oh.
they had a bunch of like
They made a bunch
retro
of trailers
trailers,
for
and then
it.
they did the double feature. But Death Proof is the one where Kurt Russell is a stunt car driver who, in the beginning of the movie, he like kills a bunch of girls that he like is driving home because the car is built to crash and protect the driver, but no one else. And
Okay.
then the second half of the movie is another group of women getting back at him
Oh,
because
sick.
it's
Okay.
presumed that he's like a murderous stunt man.
When you
so
I just liked how you were like, that's a woman focused story, and then as the synopsis started, it's about Kurt Russell. I was like, okay. Did you mean Carrie or
yeah, Jackie Brown's a good point. I mean, I haven't seen Hateful Eight, so that's one that I can't say, but I know Jennifer Jason Leigh is in Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that's a very ensemble piece. It's almost hard to pick
Mhm.
out the main character in that movie.
Okay, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, like Tarantino's always like I feel like he does pressure cooker situations. Like he puts
Hmm.
people into situations where they have to like he basically makes reality TV as movies where it's like, what if I take
Oh.
a bunch of volatile people and they're all fucked up for different reasons,
and
and
we
then
watch 'em.
the worst, and the worst situation happens, and we get to see it unfold. But yeah, I don't know. Like this movie is really remarkable, and there's it's also the beginning of the controversies around Tarantino, which I think are interesting. Listeners, if you've heard a lot of beeping earlier in the episode, it's because we've been throwing the N-word around like crazy.
Oh boy. Wow. They just
Especially
kept
Eric,
doing it.
especially our guest Eric. It's been, I mean, I don't know. It's been wild now. I'm kidding. It's a comedy podcast. But yeah, the controversy starts here. Like, and honestly, like I would love to see and maybe it's available. I don't know. Eric, have you seen the scripts for Natural Born Killers or True Romance? Like,
Oh.
I mean, True Romance
Yeah.
was less altered, right?
True Romance is only slightly altered, I feel. There's a few things are out of order. The ending is different. Yeah, Natural Born Killers is different. It's if you've seen the Oliver Stone movie, Tarantino's version is told from Robert Downey Jr.'s reporter character. So it plays more like a sort of mockumentary the first half, and the second half is more the stuff in the prison that made it into the Stone film.
That makes me think it would have been more effective at what everybody says the Stone film does, which is critique media's like lifting of criminals into the spotlight and making them celebrities. Like, what if the whole opening of the movie was him actually doing that? That would work. But yeah, I Tarantino loves language that gets cringier with time. I think that's my one main critique of watching the movie is like, oh God, this is hard to listen to now. Like, but yeah, it was just I just think it because Spike Lee comes out and talks about this movie and especially Pulp Fiction, right? Pulp Fiction becomes the one where he gets a lot of notice, and then it's like, hey, why is this guy using this word so much?
Yeah.
And
that's a
you get
lot.
all manners of defense and a lot of back and forth. And I think it's interesting that I think that last came up when Django came out, so that was like 2017.
2012.
Yeah, I was like,
that's a
earlier
while
than
ago.
that.
Time goes too
2012.
fast. 2012. So yeah, so it's been a full 12 years since we've had that conversation, really. And maybe Tarantino has aged past doing that and he doesn't want to court that controversy anymore. But it is just interesting that he is known not just for really interesting dialogue, but for particularly abrasive dialogue.
I was trying to think through the function of it in this movie. And I don't know what the goal of it was here. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, I was talking to someone about it, and I was just like, well, he uses the N-word a lot. And he was like, oh, are there black characters? And I was like, there is a black character. And they were like, does he use the N-word? And I was like, no, I do not think so. And they're like, do they use it around him? And I was like, no.
Also, no.
So I'm like, I don't know. That was like something that I noticed about it with the use of it. But it was still used in terms of like,
I think
it wasn't used as like how you would see it. I think it's not going to make it any better with the not hard R, but like the when you're referring to a friend now, whenever you still get canceled for that, but like,
No.
which you should. I'm not saying good things about it. But it was definitely used to disparage people of color.
Yeah.
I guess part of what I took it as is he's writing all criminals, which gives him this sandbox to play in,
Good point.
right? Like if this movie was a bunch of school teachers, even if they decided to steal diamonds, it wouldn't work. Like it would be really weird. It would be very dissonant for them to speak the way that these guys talk. But the fact that they're all hardened criminals of different varieties makes it sort of internally justified. I think it's also a thing
I don't know
where
if justified is the right word. I think internally consistent, maybe.
Oh, yeah, consistent.
Fair. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think the other thing is you go back to Hollywood history, right? And villains were allowed to be really mean and do awful things, but part of the like Hays Code, maybe it wasn't the Hays Code, but part of whatever the codes were that the studios had was like, if these people are bad, they have to get theirs in the end. And a thing that this movie does is everybody but Steve Buscemi gets theirs, right? So like everybody who says or does anything bad for the most part gets in a lot of trouble. They are punished mightily for themselves, for being who they are in the circumstance they're in.
Did we lose Kelly?
Oh, maybe we did.
Or she's thinking really hard about
I'm gonna write that down. I thought I was making a really great point.
She was just really thinking about it.
Clearly. Yeah, we vamped for a minute. Did she just text? Her power went out.
Oh my gosh, this is
okay. Well,
she said this right before we started recording that Mercury was in retrograde and that
I know.
Oh wow.
We're doomed. This dooms us. We'll kind of continue and then hopefully her power will come back on. Boulder's a fairly responsible municipality with electricity. Shouldn't be too long. What sort of other purpose would the language be for? Eric, do you have any feeling on that?
I feel like I know, like in interviews with Tarantino, whenever anyone brings up the language, his defense is like, "Don't tell me what to do," which is, he's an artist, that's his thing. But I think that for me, what I've always taken from it is that it's a reminder to us that these are bad people. They are lowlives. These are not the kind of people that you'd want to hang out with. I wouldn't want to get a beer with them or breakfast with them in real life. And I think sometimes with gangster movies, especially, sometimes they seem cool. Like, I don't know, some of the characters De Niro has played in Scorsese movies, like, I'd love to hang out with that guy. But whereas I think Tarantino's reminding us, like, these are bad people, they're ignorant, they say bad stuff. And I think that's a way for him to remind us, like, these are real criminals. I don't really think he's hung out with career criminals enough to really know if this is really the way they talk. I'm not sure. I think that's sort of a artistic liberty, but that's always what I took from it is he knows they're bad people.
Makes a lot of sense because the two people who I don't recall using that kind of language were Mr. White and Mr. Orange. So that's like Tim Roth and Harvey Keitel. Right. And those were the two most likable characters in the movie that I
And the guy Papa that's not Rod Steiger, but I always think it's Rod Steiger. The older actor.
Oh yeah.
Because he's pretty well spoken too. He's the one he insists on Mr. Pink tipping, even though Mr. Pink goes on a really prescient 2024 libertarian tirade about not wanting to tip people for doing work. Really wild that is one of the resonant beats of the film to our day. Uh, yeah. He's cutting characters out of cloth to show you who's good, air quotes, and who's bad. It's also just interesting because I think to your point, Eric, like I don't think, based on any of the biography you gave or anything I've ever read about Tarantino, that I don't think he grew up in a rough neighborhood or with a rough experience. So he's playing. He's doing what he thinks criminals would do, and he's giving them, I think, unfortunately, a different kind of cool, because I think you're spot on that one of my big critiques of Scorsese, up to and including Killers of the Flower Moon, is like he really loves his violent mobsters too much. And one movie is fine for that. That's, you're making a point. But when you do that, a lot of times you kind of give the wrong impression about who the focus of the movie is and who the good people and who the bad people are. I think Tarantino gave birth to like a saltiness, right? Like I think a lot of people, you mentioned that, he was a inspiration to your writing, at least to starting to write. I don't think that I've read anything of yours where I'd be like, this is like just profanity laden and lots of blood splatter. But I mean, if you're working on that book, I'm interested. I think it's that there was this kind of fallout that it created, kind of like okay, let's be gritty, let's be really edgy, and you can see in later movies, especially around Pulp Fiction, how much Tarantino's style creates a Hollywood that is chasing this energy and can't quite get it right. Which is probably a Tarantino specific special sauce.
Yeah, it's actually this, yeah, especially once Pulp Fiction takes off, it's amazing how many people are trying to rip him off and do their sort of version of this. And I feel like you don't see that anymore. Even movies I think are very popular now, not seeing a lot of people come out and be like, "Oh, I must imitate that." There's something about Tarantino that speaks to you, even if either you were already a filmmaker and wanted to make your version of it, or you're just a young kid who just it turns you on to writing. There's something that is insanely seductive about his approach that almost makes you feel like you can do it too. It's a very interesting alchemy.
He's like young Kevin Smith that way, where you're watching it going like, oh, you mean I can just point a camera at two guys who are talking about fucking somebody, getting blown, whatever, like literally just that's all those movies are, and we just show that. And it's not that expensive to make because you just need a space and then people to act their asses off. Yeah, because I think that is part of what we hit is we're in an era now where like you can't, as a kid, as a person up to and including anyone who's an adult who doesn't have hundreds of millions of dollars, like look at a Marvel movie and go, you know what, I want to be a filmmaker. I think I could do that. You look at it and go, fuck, there's no way I could ever do that. I don't know how they spent $400 million on it. It was still hideous, and you don't really get that, like Christopher Nolan's kind of I don't even know who you would go to now, because outside of really Tarantino's era and your 80s directors like Verhoeven and stuff, where you could go, oh, there's some movie magic here, but you can really sneak in. Like now it's just all huge stuff, or the indies are the indies and they really take on quiet, smaller things that are usually more relationship based. Your rom-coms have turned into indies, all these sorts of things.
I mean, I you know me, watch a lot of horror. So horror is low budget. So you have a lot of low budget. That's where I see creativity happen. And then I get really excited to see what people can do with film nowadays.
Tarantino should direct a horror movie. I know that he's going to do one more and then he's retiring.
What? I didn't know he was doing that. Why?
He just said he was going to do 10 movies and then he's done.
Oh, okay.
And he's been working on the 10th movie since like 2018 or 19. And then COVID happened and it got delayed. And then I think he dropped that project altogether.
That's right.
Because the only one he did was From Dusk Till Dawn, but he just wrote it, right? And he starred in it. And starred in, but didn't direct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And put a pin in that too. You're dredging up all the clues
I got
already.
It. I already saw
You're
it.
Here. You're in. You already see it. Yeah. I would love to see him do a horror movie, or really, he's been moving through genre stuff in his later career, so who knows what we'll get. I know that he wanted to do some sci-fi things, and those didn't come
Oh.
together.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Huh.
he's very it's very interesting. And yeah, I don't Eric, do you know why he said 10 movies and he's done?
It seems that he wants to do 10 movies because he says that he doesn't want to be an old director. And I think he feels, and again, Tarantino watches every movie ever made, so he has a pretty good feel for this. He feels that at some point directors start to lose their touch. Either they get old or the audience sort of moves on, and he doesn't want to be one of those out of touch directors. I personally feel that there's plenty of old directors that are still doing great work, so I don't totally understand it. But I also like it. I like that it's 10 and done. There's a complete filmography there.
Mhm.
Especially because, he tries to keep everything in this Tarantino universe. It's nice to think that if Reservoir Dogs is like the beginning of this universe, maybe this 10th film is the end. And we'll see too if he really holds to that. He could always say, oh, Death Proof was only half a movie, or I mean, technically he's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
made Kill Bill is technically 2 movies, so you could say he's already made 10 movies. So I guess he could probably, wouldn't be surprised if he fudges the numbers a little bit down the road.
I also think that he disproves his own thesis with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which shows an incredible amount of growth. Like
Mhm.
he isn't staying young Quentin Tarantino as is, right? He has changed a lot with the times. He has brought kind of new angles on new things, and while maybe the sentiment is always still, it's how do men interact with each other when they're in these rough situations and it gets weird with some fun little violence and stuff. I I don't know. I feel like he is actively growing. He's only 61, which isn't that old.
Yeah.
But maybe he's trying to avoid like a Kubrick situation where you get to the end of your career and you die before your last movie comes out.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw him in an interview once. He gave an example that he didn't want to have like Billy Wilder, which I think is kind of a funny person to reference because Billy Wilder made some of the, well, I think actually one of the greatest, if not the greatest screenwriter
Yeah.
ever. Um,
Broadly loved Billy Wilder. You don't want to turn into somebody that everybody like speaks of with
yeah.
reverence.
I guess I've never seen Billy Wilder's last film. It's a movie called Buddy Buddy, but for whatever reason he doesn't like that film and doesn't want his last film to be a buddy buddy situation. I think he doesn't want someone to, if someone's going to only judge him off one film, he doesn't want it to be like they stumbled across the last film he ever made on Netflix and it wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I
Sure.
suppose there's clearly a lot of thought that's gone into this, maybe too much thought. But I mean, it's hard to, there's not too many people that started in the 90s that are still relevant filmmaker wise. So I
Oh,
understand if he
for
wants to get
sure.
out while he's ahead. Like, I get it.
Yeah, it's also it's hard to do something for 30 something years and be consistently good at it and
Yeah.
also keep enjoying it. I do feel like we have a little bit of a culture where directors, actors, whatever, people who are good at something, we don't want them to ever lose the passion for doing it. But I totally
Mhm.
respect the idea that one day Quentin Tarantino, or I mean Tom Cruise never will, because I think he absolutely just loves being in movies and that's the thing he loves the most of all things. But I would never besmirch someone for being like, you know what, I directing movies was fun, but I did it for a while and I want to do something else. Like I still have time in my life. I should go try a different thing. I think I'm going to start like a ukulele band, whatever. Like, so free Quentin for that reason, if he
So
wants to be freed.
I was gonna say, what would he want to do something? I feel like he wouldn't want to stop creating. So what would his next
I
venture
know,
be?
I know he's written 2 books since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out. One
Oh,
was
I
a
did not know
novel,
that.
yeah, one was a novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and one is a book of essays called Cinema Speculation, which is
Oh,
quite
cool.
good. So I imagine he'll keep on with the writer's side, which would be that would be writing books, probably writing plays. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe did a mini series or something like that, because
Yeah, that's what I
then
was thinking, like David Fincher and Mindhunter. Like I was like, well, maybe he could move over to that
yeah,
area as
so
well.
his filmography is reputation is protected, but he can be more
Oh
free
yeah,
with
right.
TV.
Yeah.
I could see something like that happening.
That's a great idea. We should pitch him on some stuff. I think it's
Maybe he could be a pot. Maybe he could be a buddy.
ooh yeah. Quentin Tarantino, we know you listen. Come on the show. Be a buddy with us. Come hang out. We'll save space. I'll get the beep the beep ready. We can start bleeping you. Yeah, he is fascinating. And I really am a big fan of almost every single one of his movies that I've seen. I have a hard time not absorbing the art in it. And I think that that's what's we kind of already said this, but I mean that's what's interesting about Reservoir Dogs is like you see the seeds of all these things there. Even just the standoff at the end, you're
Mhm.
getting this sense that Tarantino wants you to kind of be under a lot of pressure, and then there's going to be a massive boiling point. It doesn't, and just like how Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's like suddenly a Manson family attack and a flamethrower, and it's like, okay, cool. We have a slow burn movie that doesn't feel like it's going there, and then it goes there. The way Inglourious Bastards ends, you have a massive fire and a whole bunch of ultra violence, and there's more violence preceding it in that movie, but it's smaller scale and it feels more controlled. And I think that it's interesting that like Reservoir Dogs ends on this boil over point, and so many of his movies end on boil over points. Even the way Pulp Fiction is cut together, like it's ending on the boil over point of trying to rob the diner. Like you're getting these things where it's like we're keeping even characters who appear to have control lose it, and it's almost always because of like a genuine human vulnerability.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just good writing. That's
Yeah.
bottom line. It's good storytelling.
Who I really this is going to be really far back to something we talked about, but I really liked the line in it whenever Tim Roth is talking to, I guess, like probably his handler or another cop, and he says, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy," and he goes, "He's not a good guy. He's ratting on his friends." And I was like, "Oh." So then everybody feels like a good guy, bad guy in the entire movie because I was like, oh yeah, no one's a good guy because you can't trust anyone and no one's your friend and everyone's your friend. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But I really
Yeah, it's
liked
a
that part.
no honor among thieves kind of
Mhm.
energy playing out. I mean, I cannot get over how tender, how fatherly and brotherly the way Mr. White and Mr. Orange's relationship is from the moment that they're in the
Yeah.
backseat of that car all the way through. And it really, I think, I think a lot of people might bounce off of this movie when we're cutting the ear off of the cop and dousing him with gas, which is so iconic. Like that scene, so
Yeah.
iconic that there's an Itchy and Scratchy iteration of that with Stuck in the Middle playing and the whole thing. Like, which might have actually been the first way that I saw that scene was through that Simpsons episode. But you have all this stuff, and then this movie really comes down to like a dying man being honest with the only person who believed him enough to try to save
Yeah.
his life, and that being the thing that dooms everybody.
It's so interesting too, especially with, yeah, when you're talking about that very last scene where, Mr. White has Mr. Orange in his arms and Mr. Orange says he confesses I'm a cop. Um, the funny thing is, growing up watching this on DVD, it didn't always have the best sound mix. And if they didn't have
Oh,
subtitles, I didn't always hear that line. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until maybe a few times I'd watch it that I heard it and realized that even though this might be kind of maybe Tarantino's nastiest movie, just in terms of
mm,
how it goes there with the violence. But it's also there is this really beautiful like brotherly relationship at the center of it that I think as I've kind of grown up, I've come to appreciate that more. So yeah, absolutely. I totally see that being there.
It's so tragic I mean, it really like, it hurts. It hurts to think about the ending of the movie because this pushes Mr. White to, oh, okay, let's take a vote on what we think happens. Like, does Mr. White shoot him?
Yes.
oh, I don't
Does he?
know. I would say I didn't think he did, but I
Okay.
thought he got shot and then, but it would make sense that he did. Wouldn't be
I think
shocked if
that's the
that's what
beautiful
happened.
ambiguity of the movie, right? He's livid with Mr. Orange for having lied to him. He knows that,
Mhm.
oh, well, I just got shot because I was defending you and you were full of shit the whole time. I told you my name. I mean, there's so much in that too. And it's so well done as a theme. The idea of like, don't tell people your name. But telling someone your name is the only way that you can really know them, trust them,
Yeah.
feel like you're connected to them. So yeah, that ending of Tarantino really thoughtfully panning up so that we don't have to see Harvey Keitel shoot Tim Roth. We just see that he's got the gun there, and you hear one shot and then you hear a bunch of shots. But you have no idea. You have no idea whether one cop shot and the rest did. You don't know if Harvey Keitel shot. I think it's left ambiguous enough that it really is extra powerful. Like, do you die for this person or do you kill them because they condemned you?
So I'm definitely of the camp that he does shoot him, but I definitely know what you mean, especially the fact that it's a tight close up. So much of the ending is told through audio only, and it
Mhm.
really it would have been so much easier to just show the wide shot what happens and it ends, and it would probably kind of be like, well, okay, that's the end of that movie. But because it is ambiguous, you're not quite sure what you just saw or how abruptly it ends right after that. It does sort of hold on to you, like you're not you don't feel like, okay, well, I'll turn the TV off now. It's like I always need to sit with it for a minute. I think it's
Yeah.
really well done. This was something that I never caught until I watched it this weekend to prepare for this. So, Mr. Blonde, we know that he's a psychopath. We know that he killed
Mhm.
people in the jewelry heist and he's torturing the cop. But prior to that, he's painted as a pretty like good guy. He did four
Yeah.
years of time to keep his, to help to save Joe from um to save Joe. And I'm wondering, like, do we think that he was always a psychopath or something happened to him in prison that set him off? And this is
Ooh.
it's just something I never noticed before until I watched it this time.
I have a bias for Michael Madsen as an actor where he gives psychopath almost every
Okay.
role he plays. Um, so I kind of lean toward he never was a nice guy. I feel like he did the time, but it wasn't because he was especially honorable or kind. I feel like that's like nice guy Eddie's version of him was
Mm-hmm.
that he
Mm.
did this great service to them. But I don't know. Like he's someone who when he comes back from jail, they offer him the opportunity to get out of the business and just have a job where he's tucked away, quote unquote. So he's working, but he doesn't have to work. And he refuses that in the movie and it's like, no, I want to
Mm.
get back to business. Like he wants to do crime. He's like in for the violence. So I don't know. I mean, I suppose what the movie's missing is a before
Mm.
prison moment. Uh, and I think that that might overcomplicate everything.
He's very loyal, and that was like a big thing to him. His loyalty's big, but I don't know. Yeah, you don't get a sense that before he ever did anything that was terrible. And even when Mr. Nice Guy is talking, is that his name, Mr. Nice Guy? Is talking about him, he was like, this guy, he wouldn't do anything like that. That doesn't make any sense. Like even he was being like, I didn't, none of that makes sense. Even him shooting up the jewelry store, he also was like, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And I understand him being like, he's going to run away. That doesn't make any sense. But it didn't, I think that that's a really good point. It didn't feel like his vibes were that he would have lost it. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like okay, because I think the other nice thing about this movie is there's a bunch of unreliable
Yeah.
characters. Like we really the only character who we do again get any backstory on is Tim Roth's, right? Everybody else we don't actually know anything about who they are. You get a glimpse of Keitel's Mr. White
Yeah.
going to a meeting to talk about doing this. And you get the sense that like he's maybe of the Thomas Crown era of like criminal where it's like, well, he's more on the debonair, organized, let's do it clean, nobody gets hurt, we're in, we're out. He's very like or maybe like Ocean's 11 heisty where it's like this is going to be clever and fun and you're going to enjoy experiencing this ensemble doing all of their parts. Everybody else is like hired meat and muscle.
Mm.
And it's really, I think it's really interesting, actually. It's good that we're continuing to talk about this. It's really interesting that the diner scene doesn't do what it would do in most crime movies, which is reveal what each of their strengths are and why they're on the team. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
get any sense why
No.
most of the guys are there because you hear from Tarantino talking about, how he's telling his stories. You get Buscemi's libertarianism around tipping. And you get Roth agreeing with Buscemi, mostly, I think, just to maintain cover. He just wants to seem like a person who's in the thing. And otherwise, it's like, okay, we have a dad and we have a bunch of knucklehead kids, and dad goes to pay the check and comes back and scolds them all for being assholes. And that's kind of what you get. From the jump, Tarantino writes this to set up like, hey, guess what? This is not like, these guys are not good at this. They're bad criminals, but they are bad criminals at the same time, right? They don't know what they're doing. Because if the heist is like, okay, well, this guy's gonna drive. Why is Mr. Brown the one who's driving? There's even interesting no foundation around why they're all together. It's just like, well, yeah, they got vetted and they got brought together because they needed a team of people to do this, because you can't do it with two or whatever. But there isn't a whole lot of like, you're the point man, you're the this, you're the that. It really, it feels like with even a cursory amount of analysis and conversation, they would have been like, hey, we don't want Mr. Blonde to have the gun and be in there. Maybe he should stand outside where he can't become volatile with people.
So whenever we were talking about this, I feel like a part of it is that Mr. White, there was the scene where he talks about, with Tim Roth's character, Mr. Orange, in the seat next to him, they're talking about what they're going to do logistically. And then he talks about what to do if anybody messes with them. And then he's like, if you need to get information from him, cut off his pinky and then tell him you're going to cut off his thumb, and then he'll tell you anything. But then that, I feel like, is like career-wise how they have experienced life prior. And I would assume Mr. Blonde also lived a similar life. But I feel like prison had to have made him a little bit darker in terms of like wanting to burn someone alive. I could never just like, that part just seems like a bridge too far on that one, that he has lost something there. Yeah.
Especially with the cops saying, please don't, I have kids. That's like, wow, really? He's still gonna burn this guy? But yeah, I feel like if something bad must happen to him in prison, he must have a I ain't never going back attitude. It's at the end of the day, it's probably an unanswerable question, but it's very it was just something I never really noticed before, how that's sort of set up. Like, how crazy is he really? Because like you said, Nice Guy Eddie isn't the most reliable judgment of character either. So we'll probably never know.
Yeah. But I mean, it certainly, from a writing standpoint, works as a device to set like, okay, but here's the really bad guy. So now that you see this really bad guy, I want you to go ahead and recognize that Harvey Keitel and Tim Roth and even Buscemi, who you probably dislike because he's been gross, they're okay. They're okay, and we should root for them a little bit.
Yeah, and Tarantino's great at that throughout his entire like filmography, is that no matter how bad some of the characters behave, there's always a worse person. You think everyone's bad at Pulp Fiction until they go into the pawn shop and they're like, oh wait, no, those guys are 10 times worse than these guys. And
yeah, there's new layers of evil here.
Yeah.
Kelly, you're back.
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
Oh.
I don't have power. I don't have internet. My hotspot won't work. So this is a real DIY situation we've got over here. So did you guys figure out if the movie's good? What did I miss?
Yeah. We talked a little bit more about Tarantino's filmography, and then we've been talking about some of the nuances of the plot, trying to figure out if we thought Mr. Blonde was sociopathic beforehand, or if something happened to him in prison maybe that led him to be someone who's willing to cut off ears and burn and torture. And and talking a little bit about the really emotional final scene where men are cradling each other and being honest with each other and having to kill each other / be killed.
So is that what we think happened? That's the agreed upon ending?
I don't think we came to a full
ambiguous?
consensus.
Okay.
Eric said that he believes that Keitel shoots him for being a cop.
Why?
I just think that's the way it plays.
Sorry.
I think you hear one gunshot that's close, and that's supposed to be Mr. Orange getting killed. Then you hear all the gunshots, and that's Mr. White literally blown out of frame. But I'm open. I'm open to the interpretation. Like I was telling them, the auditory, how this is all told auditorily and not told with just a wide shot of what happens, is what makes it so the ending so mysterious and kind of holds on to you after those credits roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I did read after the fact that that not after the fact, or I guess yes, after the fact. After watching the movie, I did read that there is some audio stuff that I missed, so I might go back and watch it with headphones on because apparently when Mr. Pink leaves, you can hear him shouting outside with the cops. And I
What?
didn't hear that at all. Yeah,
Oh,
apparently he goes outside and he gets shot, but survives non-fatally. And you hear him say
Well,
like,
okay.
"Oh, I've been shot. Stop shooting," etc. So I missed that. So I do think that there might be more clues listening to that isolated gunshot up close, but I don't know. I went and am still going back and forth on whether or not I think that I just saved all this up. I was gone and I was like, I'm just gonna ramble. The minute I log back
Do
on,
it.
I'm gonna
Bring it.
Perfect.
take all of the airtime. I was thinking about how so at this point in the movie, the end, Harvey Keitel has saved Mr. Orange. He's saved his life twice now.
Yeah.
And so then to take it away seems like that feels like a friction there. Like, yes, Mr. White is a criminal and he has committed crimes, but he doesn't like relish in violence the way that Mr. Blonde does. And so it seems like, I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's a great way to remain ambiguous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the argument would be that the betrayal is the thing
Yeah.
that Mr. White is upset about, right?
Yeah.
Like he's upset the entirety of the movie that they have been betrayed or might have been.
Yeah.
He's it's like, oh, this was unprofessional, and then the betrayal aspect that Mr. Pink puts in his head, and then they're trying to figure out, well, who is the rat, and then finding out, oh, you were the rat, and I got shot because I defended you and said you weren't the rat. I mean, I could see
Yeah.
that, especially if you're looking at it like, oh, this was supposed to be kind of, you get the sense that this may have supposed to have been Mr. White's kind of last job. Like he wasn't necessarily going to keep doing a lot of crime, but he
Mhm.
kind of had one more opportunity. So if that's the sort of vibe, then yeah, it's like this guy condemned me to death. Like the cops are going to come. I don't want to go to jail. He's already of an age where like with a prior record, he might not leave jail alive.
Mm.
And so yeah, but I also agree with you that I think that the ambiguity is there to create this conversation, to create the question of like, does he just hold him and the cops come in and one shoots and then several shoot, and it's not him pulling the
Mhm.
trigger because he also already knows they're doomed. Like it's not as if it's going to go different, right? Like it's all bad. There's no positive ending.
One thing I wanted to mention, because you were talking about earlier how the criminals are seem like they're actually pretty bad at their jobs, especially with that first diner scene. And actually, what one actor who we haven't brought up yet is Mr. Blue, who plays a very small part in the movie.
He's a guy
He's
with longer hair, right?
the
That
guy with
is
longer white
barely.
hair. He's played by Edward Bunker, who is a real career criminal. Also, he was an author. I think he wrote a few screenplays. But he was in an interview once. An interview asked him how much of this is authentic, and he said the only things that aren't authentic is I would never do a job with a bunch of guys I didn't know because I couldn't trust them, and we would never go to breakfast before the job in matching suits because it would look very suspicious after the robbery took place and people would have been able to spot us. So that was something I came across
That's fair.
recently that kind of shows like, yeah, these guys aren't that good at their jobs.
But they are good at walking in slow motion and looking really cool for a window of time.
Definitely.
Let's jump into the MouthGarf report.
The MouthGarf Report. Open wide for some lasagna.
I hate Mondays.
Yay.
All right. My Garf is doing great, hanging out,
Hmm.
having a good time. The neighborhood Garf, the like kind of stray orange tabby cat that yowls
Yeah.
a lot, possibly because it's in heat, has been wandering around. Seen a few days. I've been walking to coffee shops to go work. Doesn't seem interested in lasagna. Or maybe just
No.
not Stouffer's. I tried. Doesn't seem to care. So, but it was also a Monday when I tried. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
Might be off. Yeah.
It's hard to tell what's gonna work. Yeah. Otherwise, I cleaning my dog's teeth. I've been doing that. That's
Oh,
MouthGarf
that's good.
adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a dog or dog mouth dog.
Mouth dog.
Mouth dog.
Yeah.
They both get the like very porous chew treats after lunch so that they can do a little passive tooth cleaning. But then every once in a while I bust out a classic toothbrush and some doggy toothpaste and just let them do their thing because they just like to chew on it more than
Yeah.
anything, which makes it a nice way to get that done without having to do a lot of aggressive head holding and things. Yeah.
Has it improved the breath smell?
Yeah, the breath is honestly great dog breath on these two dogs, I gotta say. Very good dog breath. And limited tooth staining, which is pretty cool. I don't
Oh.
know. I do think it's interesting that like dog tooth health became a thing sometime in my adulthood, and I don't feel like anybody cared about dog tooth health up until maybe 2008. But maybe they did. Maybe I just didn't know.
We definitely didn't care about cat tooth health when I was a kid.
I'm saying.
Do you currently care about it? Do we currently care about it? Is that why my cat died? Sorry.
I mean, my
bummer.
vet certainly cares about it. Every time I go in, she's like, you should be brushing these teeth. And then I
What?
buy the
Okay.
toothpaste from them, but Mouse isn't going to let me do that.
Yeah.
Mouse isn't going to, I would lose limbs if I tried that.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's an episode. First time Kelly tries to brush
Kelly lose a
Mouse's
limb?
teeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it'll be a lot of firsts,
Okay.
obviously.
Okay.
It'll be the first
He'll
time
play
Kelly got her Nick Fury eye patch. It's going to be a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, he's going to play stuck in the middle with you and dance awkwardly around while he tortures me.
You know what? I wish we were really good at making internet videos because that should be made. That should exist with Mouse somehow just like doing the like walking him around like a toddler and then just Photoshop
Oh,
yourself
God.
out.
Oh my gosh.
It would be adorable, right? It would be great.
I don't have the skills.
We'll have to find somebody. Listeners, if you're into amateur videography and the photoshopping and video shopping of things, reach out to us. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell us how you would make the Steelers wheels stuck in the middle scene from Reservoir Dogs with Kelly's cat.
It's only a matter of time till AI video will allow you to
Oh,
make the
God,
entire
yeah.
movie with cats.
Yeah, actually.
Oh my
Oh
God.
man. That's actually, but then it's kind of
Harvey
cute.
Keitel.
Do we make it with
Oh,
dogs?
it's right
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
Dogs would make more sense.
Oh yeah. Oh.
No, we gotta
sure.
cast against type, people. Like, let's look. I mean, we're a bunch of reply guys on the internet. We're like, oh, you're not even casting dogs as dogs anymore. Now it's cats.
Fair.
Woke nonsense.
Gender bent Reservoir Dogs. What would that
Reservoir
be?
Dogs, the
Species
butthole
bent?
cut. Are we gonna get that one?
Yeah, that is one thing
Release
this
the
movie
butthole
lacks.
cut.
Yeah, there's far too few buttholes in this movie.
I don't want to see any of their buttholes.
That's true. I do not.
If I'm being totally honest.
I mean, you can see Harvey Keitel's, I think, in the piano. You can see a lot of Harvey Keitel
good
in the
for him.
piano.
Good for him.
I don't know if anybody else's bits and bobs are on display.
Are both the bits and the bobs?
Yeah, in the piano.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Keitel's
I haven't seen it.
full
I don't know
frontal.
anything about this.
Harvey
Oh.
Keitel's
Oh dang.
Harvey Keitel's full frontal in like 5 or 6 movies. It's kind of his actor's
right.
signature. He's like
No.
Okay.
Huh.
he's a fatherly crime type and also a guy that hangs dong on film. That's what he does.
Okay. Well,
I mean, you find
if
a
you have
niche
it, go
and you
for
stick
I
to
guess.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other
Huh.
MouthGarf news from anyone?
Went and got re-nubbined.
Again?
New nubs.
Now I have 4 nubs instead of 14, which is nice.
That is,
But I have 10
yeah.
more weeks now, so
Oh geez.
do not love that. Definitely hate that so much. I don't know
I
what they're
feel
gonna
like
do.
that's
My
the
teeth are
story.
straight, so I don't know what's happening.
Oh, are they like pushing them forward or backward?
They're trying
That's
to
like
push the front bottoms backward, and that's all I know.
Yeah.
But they didn't go over
Yeah.
anything with me, and I didn't care. So we'll find out how it goes.
Sorry, I'm not. What are nubs? I'm not
I
familiar.
have
with that term.
Invisalign.
Oh, okay.
I have Invisalign, and they call them buttons. I call them nubbins. They put little things on your teeth to help push them and hold the Invisalign in. And my first set, I had 1 million in my mouth, and now I only have 3, which is great.
Oh, that's good.
Because they suck. And it's like having braces all over again, like having just like giant things in my teeth all the time.
Oh wow. I had 8 years on and off of orthodontia as a kid, so I never want to have to do that again.
Yeah, I feel you. Whenever I
no.
went to my dentist, I was like, oh, I had a Herbst appliance. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But everything I talk about with my orthodontia, they were like, man, that sucks. But yeah, since I've been like a wee one, my teeth have been fucked up.
Okay. Same.
Will you remind me what a Herbst?
A Herbst appliance is 2 bars that go into each other. One, like you have bars on the top. It's to push your jaw forward because I had an overbite
Dang.
as a child. Yeah. So there would be
Yeah,
times
that
that the
does sound
bars would
medieval.
separate, and then I would bite down, and then they would go into my gums. It sucked. Or they would lock open. Sandwiches
Oh.
would lock open.
I had something similar, but I had an underbite. I don't know what the contraption was called, but it was basically they would put this, it was like a face mask. They put it on your chin and your forehead, and there'd be 2 rubber bands attached to the front of my upper teeth that would pull it forward, pull my mandible forward. And to do it, they had to do a cast of my face. Apparently, they don't do this to kids anymore.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it should be a crime.
It was like 20 minutes as like a little kid, just completely buried in like this sort of face mask, like clay thing. I don't even know what it was, but it's more humane now. But yeah, so I had the opposite of what you had.
Oh yeah.
Huh. Wait, so how do you breathe in it? Do they give you a little straw?
No, you I think they only had my nostrils. I don't think I was allowed to breathe through my mouth.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. But I remember it felt like it was 20 minutes. It's not that bad. But when you're a little kid, it
When
feels
you're a
like an
kid, yeah.
eternity.
Yeah,
Sounds like a nightmare.
that's like going in for like a CAT scan or something. Like these situations. I remember just doing like the big bite down trays when you had to get retainers made and stuff, or whenever they took casts of your teeth, and it would be just so overwhelming, and you'd have the pressure, and then you're kind of breathing through. I don't know. My whole thing is, if I'm not careful, I can throw myself into a full panic attack trying to breathe through my nose and forgetting how to, because suddenly it's like, oh
no.
my mouth is being occupied. I don't remember how to do this. And then I start thinking about how to do it. And then
Are you doing
it
it now?
becomes
Or should we
worse.
be worried? Are you okay?
No, yeah, I'm okay. I can
Nate, Mercury's in retrograde. Don't freak yourself out.
yeah. I went through a bunch of the, like 12 years of stuff, retainers, the short sets of braces where it was just 4 teeth on the top and bottom, and then full braces, and then extractions to make room so that you could move more stuff around, and having one tooth grow in behind another tooth, and then they pulled the front tooth, and then they had to bend
Like
the
a
other one
shark?
out. Like a shark.
Oh, yeah. like a
Absolutely.
shark. Is this
Oh.
where the tooth thing came in? Is this where it started?
Yeah, I mean, I
they
think
had to
that
remove the
the hundreds of thousands of dollars my parents spent while I got tortured by a doctor in Inglewood was the way that it went down. Because yeah, I don't know. I was so at 17, I got my braces off, and I went in and they were like, we'd really like to do a few more things, so come back in and we'll talk about the next phase. And I went home with my parents and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm
Yep,
done.
no.
I don't care. I don't care
No.
what happens. Like at that point, I was so exhausted with it. And yeah, in a couple of
What do
episodes
they
ago.
mean? We'd like to do a few more things. No.
Right.
What do you mean you'd
would like
like
to
to? Are you
pay
like
for a
bringing
few more
in
things?
students?
This is where
Yeah,
it gets
exactly.
because I think it sometimes feels like a bad mechanic situation.
Oh.
Where you go in, you're like, my tooth hurts, and like, oh, you know what? You've also got this thing, and it sounds really scary. We'll say it in whatever specific speak, and then you have to do that calculus of like, is this what's wrong with me? This comes to the Invisalign thing that my last cleaning, and I brought this up on the show a few weeks ago. They kind of pitched me on doing Invisalign again under the guise of like your teeth move a little bit over time, and so your bite pattern changes, and that can be bad. And I'm like, maybe, but I also don't feel like my teeth are a problem right now. So I don't, it's weird. It's very weird because it's also just, it's uncomfortable. And you get curveballs like what Chelsea's getting, where they're just going to keep putting nubbins on you and moving stuff.
Yeah. Like last time, Kelly, you talked about your bad dentist and then your new dentist fixed everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That was sort of, I mean, going back to the mechanic metaphor. Yeah, I went to a chop shop originally. Now I'm going to the dealership where they upsell me on everything. But that's better than the chop shop that landed me with a headache for 6 months.
I mean, plus Kelly, look, if you're looking for teeth on a budget, like you know where to go. Like you just come to me.
Oh God,
you don't need to go to a chop shop.
This was before I knew you,
That's
Nate.
fair. That's
Next
fair.
time I'm in the market, you're my guy.
Come on down. I got catalytic converters and molars in the back. Just let's do it. I do want to add, so my wife and I started watching America's Sweethearts on Netflix, which is like a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader documentary / reality show-ish thing. One of the like rookie candidate cheerleaders is she's a childhood orthodontist is her day job. And like, that's part of her story is like, hey, I have a full-time job. I do this and I'm going to try to become a cheerleader because Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders get paid like $12 an hour or something, and only for the time that they're cheering, and the rest of the time it'll make your blood boil listening to the people talk about it, because they're like, this is an international brand and they're advocates for all these things around the world, but also they do it because they love it, not because we pay them. And it's like, now we know how Jerry got his money. But this orthodontist lady, they do this thing where they're like, tell us a fun thing that happened to you today. And she stands up in front of this room of other cheerleaders and she's like, yeah, so I was working on a kid trying to take the bracket off of their tooth because we were removing their braces, but I pulled their whole tooth out of their head at the same time. And then she's like, but it's okay. It was a baby tooth. There's a new tooth that's going to come right in after it. Not to worry. But it was, but I heard
Wait, follow-up question.
Still a problem.
Were we doing braces on baby teeth?
That's what
weird question.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why would
Not
you?
weird question. Weird thing.
I could speak to that. I had to do that. I had to do that for the what's the word? The underbite. So the braces weren't to straighten my teeth. I guess it was more like a retainer, but it was to bring the mandible forward. And then they actually took it all off. And I was like, oh, I'm done. And then like a couple years later, I had to go back and get the braces that straighten your teeth. So
it's
actually called like phase 1, phase 2. But yeah, because once you hit puberty, you can't fix that bite without like surgery, and that's really bad. So they try to get it before you hit puberty.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I guess because your bone density would increase once you're hormonal. Yeah. Okay.
So good to have an expert. Thank you.
I know we're hitting all the levels.
Spent a lot of time in orthodontist offices. And my wife actually, she's not a dentist, but she works for a pediatric dentist office. So I get to learn a lot through her too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Has she ever witnessed an accidental tooth pulling like this?
I'm sure she has. I guarantee it. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing too wild, I don't think, but I'm sure stuff like that happens all the time.
A kid died.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. You're just okay. I can't see your face, Kelly, so I'm like taking it very serious.
You pulled a me. Or you just say something relatively deadpan, and everybody's like, "Really?"
Okay, got it. So it's my face that gives me away. We're all learning stuff today.
But that was the thing that struck me about that scene in the show was like, there's no context given on what condition the tooth was in. I get it if like, yeah, it's a baby tooth and it was a little loose and I was trying to get the bracket off and the tooth came out. But if it's like firmly in there and you pull it off, that feels like that's probably traumatizing for a child, even if it's like your tooth's going to grow back. But an adult just was like, you have to trust me. And there's going to be some pressure. And then a piece of your face comes out.
Hopefully the kid had
What?
painkillers. Otherwise, that would hurt a
Wow.
lot.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, upside, the kid probably doesn't need that high dosage, so there's that.
He wakes up, they're like, good news, bad news. Bad news. Accidentally pulled a tooth. Good news, you get to take it home.
Additional good news: we took your face off and replaced it with Nicolas Cage's face.
Not even upset. Thank you.
Not at all. Yeah. Thank you very much. That was the MouthGarf Report.
Yay.
Wait, hold on. Did you guys read the fun fact that Nick Cage was considered for Nice Guy Eddie in
What?
Reservoir Dogs?
That would have been really
Oh.
interesting. That would have been really interesting. I like Chris Penn in this role. I think it's like a good Chris Penn role, and like Chris Penn's one of those actors we'll never know, gone too soon kind of thing. Who knows what he could have been?
Mm.
But yeah, Nick Cage would have been. I feel like Nick Cage would have really made Nice Guy Eddie as a name feel potentially like unbalanced and concerning. Like you'd be like, why do they
Oh,
call him
yeah,
a nice
yeah.
guy? Because he's got this wild, like Nick Cage would have a wild look in his eye with this role, wouldn't he? Like almost certainly.
I mean, he always does.
But I mean,
Doesn't
especially
he?
in this age of his career where he's like getting ready to do Vampire's Kiss and stuff, and he's
Yeah.
pre-leaving Las Vegas, so he's in that like he's big. Yeah, it'd be something else.
There's actually some pretty wild auditions for this that people who
Oh.
auditioned who didn't get the part. I actually have the list. Would that be worthwhile to put in the cast? I could read it real fast.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
let's
be
do
awesome.
it. I'm
Yes.
interested.
Okay, so the biggest one, James Woods was offered the role of Mr. Orange. His agent never passed the offer along to him. When Woods found out about it later on from Quentin Tarantino, he fired his agent. He was so upset.
Dang. All right.
Um,
And do we think that's the
Fair.
reason why he's a horrible person on the internet now, or no? That's a myriad other factors. Okay,
Who is
continue.
this? Who's James Woods?
Like what else is James
A
Woods in?
bad guy on the internet? Got it.
Yeah, well, he's turned
a lot
into
of
an
those,
he's like
so.
turned into an arch conservative kind of
Oh.
reply guy person on
Oh,
Twitter
I see.
and stuff.
Okay.
But he was in like The Hard Way, and he's in Contact, the
Oh,
Alien movie.
Alien movie.
He's in a
Okay.
bunch. Yeah, he's in a bunch of like you'd recognize him. He's a good actor.
Okay.
He's like, and he would really change Mr. Orange a lot.
Yeah.
Like James Woods has more of a like hardened energy. And I think what Tim
Oh.
Roth does well in this movie is he's kind of a scared boy. Like he has scared boy energy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very guileless.
Yeah, he's an actor man who's learning how to be a bad guy, and then he's kind of not doing that good at being a bad guy at breakfast, and then he's really scared and bleeding out, and that's kind of his thing, and he does such a good job. Like I don't know that James Woods could yelp the way that Tim Roth does.
Mm.
I can't see anyone else playing Mr. Orange.
Yeah.
This is his movie. It's perfect.
Yeah.
George Clooney auditioned
Oh,
for Mr.
what?
Blonde.
Oh.
Whoa.
No. That's a no from me, dog.
That'd
That's a
be-
no from me, Reservoir Dog.
I see what you did there. The man, okay, Clooney in that is too charismatic. He's too handsome.
I agree. He's too handsome.
Yeah,
You would 100% be super confused, like how they would have to put lines in where he's like, I learned how to do this in the joint because people were mean to me. Like you would have to do that because he's just too otherwise like, boyish, cocky smirk to like Madsen's got crazy behind the eyes. I think that's why it works that he's
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This one was the most bizarre to me. John Cryer turned down the
Oh.
role of Mr. Pink. He was offered the role.
Okay. Oh.
totally could have done it though. That's totally a Cryer role. Yeah, no, Cryer absolutely. Like
So wait,
Cryer and
No, 'cause
Buscemi
then he
sound
would have
very
been-
similar.
there's a Pretty in Pink joke here
Oh, yeah.
that I don't have the brain power to get to.
That's amazing.
Somebody just calls him Ducky in the like British pet name way.
Oh.
Samuel L. Jackson auditioned for both Mr. Orange and Holdaway, which is the name of Mr. Orange's handler.
Yeah.
and obviously went on to have a
Oh.
very successful career with Tarantino, but did not get to appear in this movie. The other two,
Do we know why?
I don't know why. I don't know why he was. Samuel L. Jackson was more of a character actor back then. He wasn't. He wasn't the person
Oh.
we know. I think Pulp Fiction is actually what made him like a household name. Because before that, he kind of pops up in Spike Lee movies, but I'm sure other stuff. But
Yeah, because he was in Do the Right Thing.
But
Yeah.
yeah, more of a character actor. The last two I found, I don't know who they auditioned for, but David Duchovny and Viggo Mortensen both auditioned for this film.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh my god.
I mean,
That would've
Duchovny
been-
makes
you
it
would've
a
been
hornier
upset.
movie
Yeah.
right away. That would be
Yeah, it'd be too horny.
yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know who Duchovny could play. I just can't see him in.
No.
I can't see him in any of these roles.
Yeah.
He could almost-
I mean, he's got cop experience, so maybe he could be Mr. Orange.
I could
Well, no. What year was this? 98. Yeah.
92.
So we've
92,
got
yeah.
92.
Mhm.
So no, X-Files hadn't happened yet.
He'd be a little baby.
Huh.
He's a little baby Duchovny.
He'd just be a little child, just a little tiny baby.
I could see him being
I don't
Mr.
know, I
Brown,
don't know.
maybe. Like I could see him delivering Tarantino's
Okay.
lines in the diner, and then being a guy that dies in a car. Like I could see that.
Yes.
But yeah,
I
he's
agree.
not
Okay.
swirly enough to be Mr. Pink.
Mm.
He doesn't have the I guess he's got the boyish looks that he could pull off Orange if he could really like act the bleeding and dying, but I don't know if he can because I've never really seen him do anything like that. There's not
Huh.
really like a cocksure role that would be sort of the thing to throw him into. But then I guess he was on
Huh.
Twin Peaks too in a very unlike the rest of his
Different,
career
yeah.
role, so interesting.
What if he was the cop getting his ear cut off?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
That could work.
That's probably not.
He does. He's got ears that you could get a hold of.
He does have ears.
Don't
That's
we all?
correct.
Well, sure, yeah, but you want to get a hold of David Duchovny's ears, You wanna
Well, yeah,
whisper
but for
sweet
different
nothings in
reasons
there.
than-
Yeah. Who is the other one, Eric? What was
Viggo
the last one?
Mortensen.
Oh, Vigo.
Oh,
No.
Vigo could work in almost any
Huh.
of the roles, any of the tough guy roles. I could see him slotting right in,
Mhm.
no problem.
I think he would make a good Mr. Blonde simply because he's got those piercing eyes.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I could see
And
that too.
he's good. Like History of Violence. He has the ability to do that, like flipping the switch thing between seeming like a casual normal guy and suddenly being like, I'm very violent right now. And yeah, that could be good. That could be real good.
Should we start a casting agency?
Eric's in LA, so I think if we're going to, now is the time.
Okay. Who do you know? Do you have connections? Do you know Quentin? Is that why you were so casual with his name?
No, I don't know him.
Yet.
Not
Right.
yet. Right.
But we can figure out where he hangs out. They sell maps of the stars in LA. I know. I've seen them.
Yeah, exactly. He owns a movie theater out here, actually, or I think he owns two movie
Yeah.
theaters. But
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah,
They still show film at the
Arclight.
theater, right? They're like one of the only.
yeah, and it's like 35 millimeter film only at these theaters.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Usually revival cinema, so he'll show stuff like the kind of movies they would talk about in his movies. That's the kind of stuff he's
Yeah.
showing.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so needed. I wish every place had a theater like that. Like I think I talked about it already, but they do a thing here that's called Movies on Tap, and it's a nonprofit thing, and every month they show an older movie. So like I saw Jaws last month on the big screen,
Oh,
which was
fun.
great.
Oh, fun.
Great movie to see on the big screen. Beverly Hills Cop previous to that. We're
Yeah.
going to see Dazed and Confused in another week.
Nice.
So
my gosh.
it's just really cool to have that and like to delve even deeper, because I'm sure Tarantino's movies do not talk about those types of films. They talk about like blaxploitation and grittier crime stuff and things like that. But these things shouldn't just go away, and we shouldn't have to individually each buy them or rent or subscribe to 90 different services to see them. Like, you should be able to go to the theater and see them the way they were intended.
Yeah, I think especially when they say some of these theaters are saying, "Oh, no one's coming to the movies anymore. We can only get people in for Deadpool and Wolverine." And I'm like, if you go and show a 35 millimeter of anything, Terminator, Star Wars,
Oh,
even semi, even more stuff that's not quite like that, like household name, I think people will go to it and then package that with the newer stuff that's coming out. I think that may very well be the future of cinema if people aren't going to see new films anymore.
I think
Yeah.
that that's what Kelly, what is it? The thing that starts with a fan that the movie theaters do?
The Fathom events are what
Fathom
I go
events.
to
That's
show.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do end up showing
Yeah.
older movies. And I went and saw Lord of the Rings and it was packed. It was sold out. It was sold out like
Yeah.
3 days before. So like if you just do older movies, I feel like people are willing to end up paying for it.
I mean,
And
I go to those
the
pretty
cost
frequently.
to play those movies is much cheaper than the cost to play the new movies. Somebody who showed
Mhm.
movies at a college once. So they end up making more at the theater than they would otherwise.
Yeah.
I very nearly
them
saw
snacks.
Lawrence of Arabia last weekend because it was
Nice.
playing at one of the movie theaters up the road, and I was like, I've never seen that on the big screen. It's also 4 hours and 15 minutes long, and I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
I can do that. But these are the sorts of things where it's like, this is the way to see it, right? Like there, and Reservoir Dogs is small enough in scope that you don't have to see it on a big screen to appreciate it. But a lot of movies are really, you're missing a lot if you don't see it theatrically.
Oh, maybe you guys talked about this, or maybe Eric, I read that when Tarantino went to one of the early showings of this movie, he like stopped it partway through because the theater only had, like, this was shot in widescreen and the theater only had standard screen projectors. This does seem early for a widescreen movie? Was this like...
No, it's not early for a widescreen movie. I read that trivia too.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Chelsea, did you run projection? You said you did. You said you did.
Oh no,
college
I
films?
did. Yeah, I showed movies at college, but we did have a projector, but I didn't use. I wasn't. I also worked at a movie theater, but I've never been a projectionist.
Oh, okay. I
Mhm.
think there are
No,
different.
you did programming.
Yeah.
What?
I think as there's different lenses that go on the camera to take in the footage, there's different lenses that go on the projector to play out the footage, and they must have been, rather than showing it in its widescreen, they just showed it in like a sort of a box shape, and I guess he insisted that it
Right.
be shown the right way. I also read that one of
Well, he was saying like half the picture wasn't there. So you
Oh.
can imagine, like, there are a lot of shots in this movie where the camera is sort of far away from the action, and we're seeing like which is another reason why it sort of feels like a play. Like, we see a lot of different action. The blocking is very spread out. So I can see, like, well, we just can't see what's going on stage right.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work.
especially the ending with the standoff, that you would probably just see one character. Or...
Oh, yeah.
What's he pointing his gun at? This is weird.
The ending was really ambiguous.
Yeah. He shot nothing, and then are we ready to play a game? Should we play a game?
I think so.
Let's play a game.
Well, let's play a game. It's time to play. I see what you did there. It's Tarantino edition.
Yay.
Oh, God. The answer is feet.
It just
It's
might be.
probably one of them, yeah. I think we're going to pre-answer some of them. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Chelsea, you've already clocked a few things. Do you remember what those were that you knew?
From Dusk Till Dawn, and what, it was that one? And then
Yeah.
Death.
Mhm.
Were we talking about Death Proof? Was that the other? No, Grindhouse.
Grindhouse.
Was
Yeah.
the part of
Those are two pieces that you already got in your I see what you did there quiver. The official
Okay.
quiver of Debut Buddies. Okay, number one, and just Eric, so you know, everybody participates. No one's
Oh,
playing
wow.
against each other. So just like, if you know, just say what you think the parts, the answers to the clues in part are, and I can repeat them if you need. Just ask. Okay, number one.
Oh, wait. Do you feel confident with how this game is played, or should we come up with an example to
Oh.
illustrate?
We can do I'll if I don't understand the first question, I'll listen to you both answer it,
Okay.
and then I'll hopefully get it from there.
Oh, you think we'll answer
Okay.
it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I
We
think you'll
appreciate the
answer it.
confidence.
Okay.
Okay, number one. Reservoir Dogs features many of these, defined as one of two or more main performers who star in a motion picture. And in 2017, and in 2017, Quentin Tarantino campaigned to direct a film for this Paramount-produced, beloved science fiction franchise. I'll go ahead and repeat them because I stumbled the shit out of that.
It's great.
Wait, did Eric? Were you already ready?
Is it Trekkies?
It's not Trekkies, but you do it is Star Trek related, so you've got that part. I'll read it again so I don't stumble over, give too much of a pause. Reservoir Dogs features many of these, defined as one of two or more main performers who star in a motion picture. And in 2017, Quentin Tarantino campaigned to direct a film for this Paramount-produced, beloved science fiction franchise.
Superstar. Trek.
Ensemble cast. Oh,
That's not right. Superstar? It's not superstar. but
You're
it's
on the
close.
right. You're on the right track. What
Mhm.
kind of star
Movie star.
are, if there's multiple people in
No.
it, what are all of them?
Actors?
Well, they're all kind of star. They're all starring, but they're
It's
not
something star.
if no one's the lead, if no one's somebody's always top billed, but if no one's the lead, they're all this type
Co-stars?
of- Yeah,
Oh.
co-stars.
Co-star Trek.
Oh.
Co-star Trek.
Oh.
Okay.
See what I did
Okay.
there? You saw, you came, you saw, you conquered what I did
See,
there.
we didn't have that.
No.
It was, it was as good as I get usually on the first one. It's gonna get better.
Friggin' Mercury.
Yeah, it's Mercury's fault. It is absolutely
For
fuck
sure.
Mercury. Sitting so close to the sun, not getting a tan or any
Get him-
melanoma.
Get
Shut
him
up.
Forward
Mercury.
grade. I don't know.
Oh yeah, what is the other? Yeah.
Future grade.
Future grade.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Post grade.
Postmates.
Post grade.
Number 2.
Okay, no, let's actually see what you. Let's not.
Let's find out.
We're not workshopping. I see what you did there.
We can do that. That can be a whole episode. First
Oh no.
first workshopping the whole damn show. It could just be us. We're sitting down. We're just like, is this working? Should we change the format? Number 2, Quentin Tarantino was in this heist turned vampire horror flick with
Okay.
George Clooney. And
Mhm.
this is a 2014 American science fiction film, second in the reboot series of a 60s and 70s franchise, in which Andy Serkis portrays Caesar, a beneficiary of the simian flu.
From Dusk Till Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
You see what I did there? From Dusk Till
Holy
Dawn of the
shit.
Planet of the
Yeah,
Apes.
okay.
Very good, Chelsea. Crushing it.
Love Andy Serkis.
He's great. It's like Andy, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. That's how I rank my
Yep.
circuses.
Yep.
Number 3. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt's character, stuntman Cliff Booth, controversially beats up this famed martial artist and actor. And these fashionable adhesive women's finger accessories came in active, natural, and glamour lengths, ready for polish. And they were hugely popular in the 1980s. This might be a thing
Bruce
where I'm
Lee.
so
is
old.
It feels like it's like a press on nail or something, but I can't.
It is, yeah.
Right,
Just
I'm
put
Is
it,
it
just put
Bruce
those
Lee
together.
press on nails?
You see what I did there, yeah.
Okay.
Lee press on nails were a
Hold
big
on.
thing in the 80s.
Oh.
I didn't know Lee would. I was like, that sounds like a press on nail description.
Yeah. I think the same Lee that makes the jeans also made press on nails for a period of time. I watched
like
several YouTube
thighs?
videos of commercials
Huh.
of Lee press on nails while writing this. It was a great
Are
time.
they entertaining?
That's great. You're watching somebody
Do you
who's
recommend?
excitedly putting little sticky tabs on their fingernails and then applying the fake nail in whatever length they prefer, whether
That's
they're
beautiful.
active, natural, or glamour.
It's so sweet.
And then you polish them yourself, which I did think was a little odd. Well, why
know.
not just sell me a nail that I don't have to polish? But hey, you know
it's
what?
it's like the not the habit, like the process. You enjoy the process, not
The
so much just the-
ritual. It's
that's
a,
it, ritual, not just like
It's
the-
called self-care, Nate. Look it up.
It's true. I'm woefully ignorant to self-care practices, so this is my homework between episodes. I'm gonna take care of myself a little bit.
Get some press on nails.
It's true. Yeah. We'll bling it out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get some of those jewels in them and things. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, get the glamour link.
They're gonna be so long. I won't even be able to type. But what
You'll
do I
learn.
have to say? I'm just
You'll
a
learn.
girl.
You'll learn. Yeah.
You'll learn.
You'll figure it out.
It's true. I'll get a special dialing wand. Okay. Number 4. Number 4. This is an idiom that means doing something for selfish, egotistical reasons, or having a strong opinion or personal stake in a matter. And this is the name of the double feature Quentin Tarantino created with Robert Rodriguez with the films Death Proof and Planet Terror. The idiom also relates to another idiom that involves like kind of feeling like you got something going on. You might have a chip on your shoulder. A good way to get a chip on your shoulder might be to do this with an implement that chips or chops.
Is it axe to grindhouse?
Oh,
It is axe to grindhouse. You see what I did there?
There it is. Thank
Very
you.
good. Very good. Yeah. Axe to grind is a hard idiom to describe what it means. I just got a problem with
I
you.
was like,
yeah.
I got real hung up on like nose to the grindstone.
I was trying to figure that one
and I
out
was like,
too,
I know
yeah.
that's not right.
I wanted to do that, but I couldn't figure out a good way to like. You can't cut the stone part off, and then
Right.
that's not. I see what you did there. That's some foolish game that Chris Isaac would sing about. Okay, last one, number 5. Number 5. Spoilers, but Uma Thurman's Beatrix Kiddo finally completes her titular mission in this film via 5-finger death punch. And this is a speech given by Prince Hamlet in the so-called nunnery scene of William Shakespeare's play Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1.
Huh. Damn, I even like Hamlet.
This speech is particularly existential of Hamlet's.
Kill Bill Volume 2B or not to be.
Chelsea got
Oh.
it. Yeah. Kill Bill Volume 2B or not to
Okay.
be. You see what I did there?
I totally misunderstood the first part. Okay.
We did it. We did the game.
Yay.
Wasn't that fun?
Yay. Yes. No.
I think now
A mixture.
Well, that is always the correct answer. It's always a mixture. Should we talk devs?
Let's talk devs.
Let's talk devs.
How many devs? How many devs? How many devs? How many devs?
I'm going to go ahead and give Reservoir Dogs 5 devs. I think it's a very good movie. I think the maybe the stuff that doesn't hold up linguistically is more or less not the crux of the movie, and it kind of ends within the first 20 so minutes, and then it really does become a very like meaningful movie that I think gains more meaning every time you watch it, and the older you get, you're really seeing these relationships develop in a different way. I loved it. I think it was great. And also, I think that this episode gets 5 because 1, Eric, excellent resource. 2, Kelly, everything that could go wrong went wrong, and we're still doing it.
And you called it
Which
out.
means-
So
This podcast cannot be stopped. Like, God himself could not end debut.
Hi.
Nate,
we
shut up.
We have a blast theme
That
to
did-
this podcast.
Perish from heat exhaustion over here is what happens next. I thought you were going to be like, 5 stars. Kelly wasn't here. Finally got
Oh.
some goddamn peace and quiet around here.
You don't know this podcast at all, or me. We need you. You're integral. This is I'm glad that we got you back.
I'm gonna say
So did the show? No, you go
No, you go,
because you're
Kelly.
going to answer my question anyway. Well, my question was, did you guys uncover any unpleasant truths while I was away that I should factor into my score?
Did we? I don't think we uncovered really any unpleasant truths. We talked a bit about the language issues and stuff, but nothing that isn't fairly well known. So yeah, no, all truths are pleasant.
5 stars. 5 Debs. Whoa, 5 Debs, 5 stars. Oh, that's what you
Debs.
said. Okay, I'm joining you on that. I was gonna give a lower Deb for the conversation, but because Eric's here, that did bump it back up. But because Kelly lost her internet, it went down. So it has like a scale there. But yeah, I actually started the movie and I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna like this. And then pretty quickly I was like, no, I really like this. This is very good. And at the end I was like, damn, that was really good. So very happy with it. Yeah. And our conversation goes back up to 5 because we talked about feet way less than I thought we would. And I'm happy about that.
Yeah. I didn't even put feet into I See What You Did There. Did you notice?
I'm shocked. I
also am
completely
shocked.
Yeah. Look, part of the joy here is that now that we've done the first Tarantino movie, we'll get to the feet later.
Okay.
The feet can be a feat, FEAT, unto themselves.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I mean, I'm only gonna go 4.5 stars. I think because I missed out on the conversation about the language, and I think I still need to. I just need to figure out for myself what function it was intended to serve, because they're bad guys isn't an answer for me. So for the movie, I got to go 4.5. For the combo, I cannot score because I did not experience most of it.
All right,
So-
Eric, what do you say?
So for the movie, I have to give it a 5 Debs, and I think that's because it's there aren't many debut features that are this good, this confident, and that also really
Mhm.
launch an entire, almost 10 film filmography. Oftentimes it's either takes a director a while to sort of writer director to sort of get up to speed, or they maybe have 1 or 2 big movies when they first start and then they kind of peter out. So the fact that Tarantino has been able to sort of keep that going, and Reservoir Dogs is such a great first film to kick that off. That's why I give it 5. I give the conversation 5 as well. It was unfortunate with Kelly. We got to miss some of you. I know you had the power outage, but it was really fun talking to you guys. I'm kind of curious who you thought I was and why I wanted to watch this weird movie before you met me. So, but I appreciate you guys giving this movie a chance, and it sounds like we all really liked it.
That's a great question. I think we should answer that question. I mean, I already knew who you were, so I don't have anything to say there. But my co-hosts,
I just knew that you were a writer and that you also are a Star Wars fan. Am I remembering that
that's
correctly?
right. Yes, because I did share your note about not knowing that about episode 1, not knowing the Michael Jackson factoid, and that being
the
interesting.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's all I knew, but I was excited to talk about Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to talk about movies. So I was excited to have you on as guest. Didn't have any preconceived notion, if I'm going to be honest.
Awesome. I know it can be kind of a weird movie. It can be a little sick sometimes. So I'm glad that I'm glad we all enjoyed it together though.
And in fairness,
Yeah, this was super fun.
I think we're all fans of sick movies, right? Like
Yeah.
we kind of like really enjoy sick movies. It's just it's about
Yeah.
taking them apart to figure out why so sick.
Mm-hmm. I know you did Evil
Why
Dead,
so
so I figure
sick?
if you did Evil Dead, you'll do Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think it's hard to say whether like is Reservoir Dogs less like bad than Evil Dead for like Evil Dead stuff that doesn't work. Is Reservoir Dogs stuff that doesn't work still preferable? I think so.
Ooh.
I kind of like. I think
I
I
think
would
so-
rather
I think
watch the
so.
hardest parts of Reservoir Dogs over again than rewatch the
Yeah.
hardest parts of Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you put it that way, for sure. Yes.
Mhm.
And certainly, I would
Yeah.
watch both movies at the
Over.
same time on 100 TVs before I would watch Cannibal Holocaust.
I
again.
was
So,
wondering where you were going to rank that one. Yep.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
Wait, is that an upcoming episode?
that was on the
Kind
found
of.
footage when we
Oh.
talked about that. Yeah, because Cannibal Holocaust is often cited as the first found footage film, despite the one that we watched that was good, The Connection. But yeah, so I watched it out of also the morbid curiosity of knowing it existed and never having taken the time, and then going like, oh, good. I don't regret checking this off the list, but I do regret the damage it's done to my soul permanently, and that's fine. I didn't feel that way about this movie.
Good.
No, not at all. I read that. What's the name of the actor who played Mr. Blonde?
Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Michael Madsen. I always think he's. Nope, I'm not even going to pretend to know the name of the other guy that I get him confused with. I read that he is very against violence and really struggled to film that scene.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so when the scene came up, I was like, oh, maybe it's much worse than I remember it being. No, it's about as bad as I remember it being. I'm just stronger than him.
Yeah, it's like hey, look, if I could sit here and watch it, you surely could act it. So don't be.
Yeah, come on.
Do you confuse him with Tom Sizemore?
No, I don't know who that is. I wanted to say maybe Matt Dillon.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's got Matt Dillon energy.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
But I'm not confident that was the name, and I can't look it up. She don't got internet.
Yeah, you're living around the time I was born, Kelly. How's it feel?
I know. I'm literally about to. I've got some like Scrooge ass looking candlesticks that are about to get busted out.
Nice. Get the butter churn out. It's gonna be a long night.
Yeah.
Well, almost universal acclaim to the episode. So I don't know what's the number, like 4.8 something.
We don't do math here.
We don't really
five,
do math, but that's how many devs it was. A good number of devs. Eric, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
It's great. Yay. And we'll try to have you back again. We'll come up with another thing to do. Maybe we delve deeper. Maybe we do another Tarantino if you want to talk more about him. And we can do a first Eric's return to talk about Tarantino. There's lots of ways we can make the first thing work, and that's part of the joy of this. We're all about manipulating language to our own benefit.
That sounds good. I'm trying to think of some way to do another debut that is him without doing his debut film. I'll think about it. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, let's crack that egg.
We did joke about
the first time
doing Pulp Fiction for first naked feet.
Yeah.
Tarantino movie.
The first feat is the first feat is Uma dancing in Jackrabbit Slims, right? Like that is the first time
it's got to be
focuses on feet. Yeah, great stuff. Because I didn't see any feet in this movie in Reservoir Dogs.
Nope, all shoes all the time.
And there's no ladies in it really either.
Except being pulled out of a car.
Oh yeah.
True. Yeah.
Or both times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for her. She defended herself. Listeners, if you like this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe, rate, review us wherever you listen. Go to Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, and talk to us. Hey, was Reservoir Dogs a formative movie for you? Do you have another Tarantino movie you like? Do you think we're wrong? Do you think this movie's bad? Are you that person? Do you want to be that person? Bring it to us, but give us 5 stars. If you like the music on the show, check out Michael J. O'Connor's music. That is michaelJO'Connor.bandcamp.com. And if you want to read some books, you can go to Spaceboy Books. I publish books there. It's a lot of fun. Eric blurbs some of those books. He's so kind as to read those books and be like, yeah, this is a hell of a book. That's a direct quote, right, Eric?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, read Animalia by Pam Jones.
Yes. Great book. And yeah, and you gave a fantastic blurb for that. It's something else. It's something else of a book. Very different from Reservoir Dogs, but there's a lot of elements that are the same. There are a lot of deep down things that are similar.
And if you like horror movies, you can find me and Chelsea over on Never Show the Monster, a movie about horror podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
I love that. Let's make a movie about horror podcasts.
There's got to be one.
Oh, God. They killed those horror podcasters in a recent Halloween.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, it's been done.
Hey, listeners, we're going to come back in a couple weeks because it's fortnightly. We got a new topic for you. I bet you wondered, how is it that the mole people started living under Manhattan. Well, they needed tunnels, and somebody wanted to put something in those tunnels. We're going to be talking to you about the first New York City subway, and it's not quite what you think. So, get excited.
Yay.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a totally tubular episode of Debut Buddies.
Oh.
All right, hey, thanks for hanging out. I wish I could go on a tirade in a Tarantino-esque fashion to close the show, but I feel like that would cause me a lot of problems professionally.
Yeah.
So I bet you look great in a suit. Just don't get shot. Yo-ha!
Yo-ha.
Yo-ha.
Yoha.
Bye, buddies.
First